I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K. I know you heard me on the radio. Flexing, she loved the sound of my voice, it's the best thing. Daydreaming of the jazz all day. Pick up the phone late night with Larry K.
Fans, Phin-Addict, Fury fanatics, all of you out there loving the Miami Dolphins, loving the way that we've rebounded this season, looking for some content, some football, some Dolphins-related content on this bye week. I'm your host, Larry K. This is Phin-Addict Fury, and I got that content for you. I just want to discuss, as promised in my previous video outside the window here with the skyline in the back of me, whatever. Now I'm not in my tie. I'm not in my suit. I'm here with my Larry Zonka jersey. I like the whites sometimes, especially when you're down that Miami Heat, you're at a game. I like the whites. Reflects it off, kind of accentuates the aqua, the orange. I dig it. I like these old school jerseys. So I got my Zonka on. I'm here to talk to you guys about the Fins, our Fins. And it's a good time. I mean, it's interesting, right? You know, I might have preferred the bye to come after this coming week so that maybe, you know, if we could manage to beat our rival, AFC East rival Jets, and go to 500 at 7-7, would have been nice to go into the bye 7-7, getting ready for that final 3-game stretch. But hey, nonetheless, the bye's coming at a pretty good time for this team. This team is on a huge 5-game win streak. As we all know, they've been almost look like a completely different team. It started, in my opinion, it all started with the defense. The first 2 victories of this stretch, I think, were largely on the defense. Once the defense, and really you could see the defense started to play better even against the Bills. They started to play better even before we started actually winning. But you could tell that the defense was turning a corner, that the defense was starting to play up to their ability with the cover corners doing their job. The adjustments made to put somebody like a Jalen Phillips in position to be successful. They're bringing him on, letting him pin his ears back and just rush the quarterback, which is his specialty. As I referenced in the prior video, I mean, the guy is looking at, I mean, he's breaking he's breaking the rookie record for the Miami Dolphins for defensive ends. And when you have somebody in your history like a Jason Taylor, and now you have a pass rushing end who's surpassing his rookie figures, the sky's really the limit. There's a lot to be excited about with a guy like Jalen Phillips. But it's not just him. It's the entire defense. X is now back to his old self, creating turnovers. Byron Jones, who, by the way, I think he got a lot of flack early in the year, somewhat just because we were hating on the whole team. He's been himself. I mean, he's been a shutdown corner. You're not going to see him a lot on the stat sheet. You're not going to talk about him a lot, and that's how you know he's actually a good corner, because they're not throwing his way very often, and he's not getting in trouble very often, so there's not a lot of interceptions to make. He's not an interception-type guy. He's just a cover corner, and I thought he's been pretty good all year. But guys like Van Ginkel are looking hungry again. They're playing really well again, and it's just nice to see. And it's a good time for this team to go into this bye week, kind of take a breath, take a rest, and get ready for this last 4-game stretch, which, you know, we need some teams to lose and some things to happen in front of us, but so many of the teams in front of us play each other that it's not a terrible chance if we can actually win out, which is hard to do. You know, if we win out, you're talking about 9 games in a row, essentially, that we would win. That's hard to do, but it's feasible when you look at the schedule. You got the Jets. We're playing them at home. The Jets are not doing so well. They're kind of a hapless team. Anything could happen in the division, so I'm not going to sit out here and gloat and be like, oh, we're definitely going to beat the Jets. I don't like when you do that with any division rival. You never know what's going to happen. You never know who they're going to bring. You never know how it's going to go. So I don't like to do that with division rivals. But you'd like to think the way we match up with them, the way we've been playing, the way they've been playing, hopefully we're coming out of a bye week. You'd like to hope and think that we could beat the Jets. We beat the Jets, we're at 500. And then you got a really a 3-game stretch that's going to say a lot about, I think, this team, where this team is, and the prowess of our coaching staff, the ability of our coaching staff. Last year, we had a win-and-you're-in game to make the playoffs, and the Bills absolutely obliterated us. So, Flores has this history of slow starts and then kind of towards the end of the season or the midway through the end of the season really picking up the pace and the team really gelling and the team doing a lot of good and positive things through the end of the year. But what he's missing so far is like keeping that momentum going through the end of the year to get us into the playoffs. He hasn't been able to do that yet. And it's going to be interesting to see, right? You got the Jets. The Jets are definitely a beatable team. We know their strengths, we know their weaknesses. We played them a few weeks ago. Okay, but then you got teams that, it's not a team that we are supposed to be favored to beat right off the bat just because of who we are and who they are. You got the Saints. Now, the Saints are not playing very well right now. They're not at the top of their game, but they're a team that could certainly be formidable. You'd like to be able to say if we're playing at the level we think we're playing at, if we think we have at least the core makeup of a playoff team, you'd like to think that we can come out and beat the Saints. You got Tennessee. Tennessee, was a AFC Conference champion favorite, a Super Bowl potential contender for much of the year. They're an old school team. I love the way Tennessee plays. I still have a soft spot for Ryan Tannehill. I think he's a good pro-style quarterback who can run the ball too. He steps back. The way they run that offense, if he's got a good running game, if he needs to place the ball where it needs to go on certain throws, he can do it. But over the last few weeks, Tannehill has struggled. He's struggled without Henry. And Tennessee overall has kind of taken a step back and kind of, in my opinion, made kind of an inroad for the Chiefs. And I'll talk about the other team that's currently atop the AFC right now in a minute. But you got Tennessee who, look, they're supposed to be, at this juncture, based on the beginning of this season, the Saints, you'd like to think they're formidable, but we would like to beat them. And we would like to say if we can assert ourselves over the Saints and win that game, we'd like to do that. We'd like to say we're at that level right now, right? But you got the Titans. The Titans are a team that, all things considered, Henry's not playing now, but all things considered, we would like this. The Titans should be better than us this year. They were supposed to be better than us. We're not on schedule there, but they lose their running back. They've struggled. They're vulnerable, and we are supposedly getting, you'd like to think anyway, and proof is in the pudding. We've been playing this way the last couple of weeks. We are getting hot at the right time, and they are getting cold at the right time. It seems like our trajectories are a little different. Sorry for that with the mic. Our trajectories are a little different, right? We're on the upswing, they're on the downswing. You'd like to be able to say you can beat Tennessee en route to trying to clinch a playoff berth, to trying to clinch a winning season. You'd like to beat them, but it's not going to be easy by any means. And then you've got bum. Why are they back? It's so frustrating. I was rooting for Buffalo, I got to be honest, just because I'm sick of New England. I'm sick of it. But Bill Belichick, you got the New England Patriots. Let's put it out there, the New England Patriots. How fitting, if we can win the next 3 games, wouldn't it be quite fitting if we come down to the New England Patriots, the last game of the year, for a playoff berth at home? We've beaten New England at home late in the season before. We have a decent track record of doing that. We can play New England. We beat them earlier in the year. It was a weird game, but we beat them earlier in the year. And all these commentators in the media, oh my God, you could tell they just want so badly. They just want so badly. They want New England to just be the New England of old. They can't wait for New England to just dominate again. They want Mac Jones to just be Tom Brady Jr. They want Bill Belichick to just destroy Shula's record for most wins. They want him to win another Super Bowl. They can't get enough of it. They love it. The media just loves the Patriots being good again. They're so excited. And it's kind of funny how excited they were and how much hype there was, right? How much hype there was going into the Bills-Pats game where they just wanted to see Mac Jones just start picking apart defenses and being efficient and whatever else. And Mac Jones threw the ball, what did he throw it, 3 times? It's 2 things. Look, it shows that Mac Jones, calm down with the whole Brady Jr. thing. But it also shows that Bill Belichick, hey, he's a smart, look, the Patriots, why they're such a good staff, let's be honest. The reason the Patriots are such a good team with consistently good, records and always never, disrespectfully bad, any years, because the coaches are such real, legit coaches. When we talk about game plans, every coach says every week, well, we're installing the game plan. We did the walkthrough for the game plan. We got a game plan. I'm going home tonight after the game, and I'm game plan. They all say that. They say they make halftime adjustments. You know who, like, really, really game plans? Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots staff. I mean, you want to talk about game planning. They game plan, okay? They, week to week, like, you'll hear Flores say, oh, this guy wasn't really as involved in the game plan because he didn't match up right. Like, so one week, Gesicki get a ton of targets because he was part of the game plan. Next week, he gets less targets, not part of the game plan. Every team does that, right? But the Patriots, the way they do the game plan, their, like, whole team is different week to week based on who they're playing and what the weather is and whatever. They came into Buffalo, and they were running, like, a old school, like, 1960s, 70s set with, like, one split end and, like, a fullback and just pummeling it straight ahead. And as much as I hate the Patriots and as much as I want them to just go away already and be irrelevant and say, get out of the way, it's our turn, it's somebody else's turn, whatever, you got to hand it to them as a football program. I mean, the way that they came in and just ran like an old school tight formation, one split end, like pound it down your throats with a fullback, because that's the way to win in that weather against that team that day. They saw vulnerability, took advantage of it. You got to hand it to them. You got to hand it to them, but it's frustrating to see them where they are now, because now they're atop the AFC East again. They're atop the AFC, and you thought after 20 years of this, you thought it's finally time to change the, changing of the guard, to switch the dominant teams and to have a new era for the fans of the NFL and football, and it looks like they're still pretty good, But look, our last game comes down to New England. But all 4 of the remaining games are winnable, right? All 4 of the remaining games are winnable. And it's going to be nice this weekend to kind of just chill. No anxiety, no, worries, no high pressure for us as fans. We get to chill, we get to relax, we get to watch the teams in front of us, see how they do, see, who loses, who wins, and how that continues to shake out, because there are a lot of fans who kind of have this figured out. I've seen a lot of really cool posts and a lot of cool content out there about, who needs to lose, how they need to lose, who needs to beat who for us to get in the playoffs. But number one is we got to take care of our business. We dug ourselves a hole, and really wish we didn't lose some of those games earlier in the year. We dug ourselves a hole, and now we got to continue to win to get out of it. And let's hope we can do that. Now, when I brought up Mac Jones, aside from, us having to win, we still got to look at the future. And 6 weeks ago, I sat here and I told you, I don't know what we can do. It looks like the coaching staff is in a hole. It looks like Grier didn't pick right. It looks like our quarterback is not panning out. All these things I said to you, right? Now, I need to be careful about this, because as somebody who is on the microphone giving content and somebody who speaks about football and specifically about the Miami Dolphins, I don't like how a lot of these media talking heads are constantly hot and cold, i.e., a guy has a good game, and that Monday morning they're saying, he's great, he's the next coming, he's the second coming of this, he's amazing, he's a star, they got it right. Then the next week he has a bad game, and they're saying, he's not the answer. That's too fickle. That's too just not sticking to your objectivity and not sticking to your guns. That's too much of just going off what happened the day before. I don't want to be that guy and just go hot and cold. I love somebody, I hate somebody. I want to stick to my guns to an extent. On the other hand, I would not be being objective. I would be, kind of just set in my ways and stubborn if I didn't acknowledge, changes outside of my opinion that can then influence my opinion. I think one of the biggest problems in society today, I have to be honest with you, one of the biggest problems in society today, whether you're talking about sports, politics, any kind of idea, anything, is that people find one thing that they believe in, or one idea that they have, or one general, initial impression that they get. And then they become so wedded to that. They're so married to that. It becomes part of their own identity as people that they can't adjust anymore. And rather than looking at the world with their sensory perception and saying, okay, as new inputs and new information and new objective factual reality comes into my mind, I'm going to adjust my view and adjust my beliefs to reflect the reality that I'm seeing outside of me. So many people now have that reality set inside of them in a fixed sense, and they kind of twist and contort the reality outside of them in order to make everything conform to their own beliefs. So they ignore the things that don't fit their beliefs, and they welcome the things that do fit their beliefs. And they're not really productive, and they're not really helpful people when we're having discussions, because they're not allowing their belief system to evolve as new input and new facts and new reality comes in. And that's a pet peeve of mine. If you ever listen to the Logic and Larry podcast, which, by the way, is available on all mediums, you'll see that that's more of a current events news podcast that I talk about. I try to stay logical and objective. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please take 1 second while you're watching this right now, before you finish watching the video. Just click subscribe. It's right there. It's right under. Just click subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so we get all these new bells and whistles that everybody else has that we're trying to get to. Just smash subscribe if you get the chance. Share this video. But anyway, I wouldn't be being objective. So I don't want to be hot and cold like every game, every week I change. But I don't want to stick to one observation or one impression to my detriment and to all of your detriment forever as new inputs are coming in. Now, one of the things I said 6 weeks ago was that, part of the reason that the season seemed futile was we didn't have much to look forward to, because it seemed like Grier had dropped the ball on a lot of picks. It seemed like Flores just couldn't, he was losing the team, that he couldn't hire the right people, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll get to that in a minute. I don't want to belabor the Flores hiring people point. You know my point. I'll just say it now. I think he still needs to revamp his coaching staff a bit, especially on the offensive side of the ball for next season. And hopefully he evolves and does that. We got to get off to faster starts with Flores. He can't keep starting off so slow. Now that we got the core guys, the young core guys, let's stop shipping them all off. We got a ton of cap space. We have some of the most cap space in the entire league. Let's go out and get some veterans and some players that can plug some of the holes we have. Let's roll with the young guys. Let's not mix it up and exile everybody like we did last year and have to start off slow again. If we have a good basis, if we have a good core, let's keep that core and let's carry this momentum into next year, because we can't start slow again. Our division's too good. Our conference is too good, period. Can't do it. I'll get to Grier in a minute, but what I wanted to address, and I think everybody knows where I'm going with this whole discussion, is I'm talking about our quarterback, right? I had a whole podcast when we didn't get Deshaun Watson that, the owner was shooting himself in the foot, and, we had a once-in-a-lifetime chance to get a top-5 quarterback. That's all still true, right? And Deshaun Watson is still, right now, he's a better quarterback on the field than Tua Tagovailoa is at this stage. He just is. He's got every tool you can imagine. He's a top-5 guy. He's a great quarterback, Deshaun Watson. But I didn't believe in Tua, because Tua, to me, was supposed to be, as I said, the polished product. He was supposed to be insanely accurate. He was supposed to be cerebral. He was supposed to have great pocket presence, because he didn't have the supreme athleticism in speed or arm strength to be able to create too many plays on his own or make up for broken plays or et cetera, et cetera. And I said a quarterback needs to make those around him better. He can't just rely on the supporting cast. And I still believe those things. But what it seems we are starting to see with Tua is that Tua is showing himself to be that polished, accurate product we were told he was. He is now, he's really showing himself, and he showed himself over these last few games. And like I said, I give the defense the wins in the first couple games, but the last couple games, especially the last game against the Giants, his throws, his anticipation, his pocket presence, they were looking elite. Dare I say elite. There's no denying it. And as a Dolphins fan, I'm obviously excited about this, right? I'm almost now kind of happy. I wouldn't say happy, but I'm kind of grateful we didn't get Deshaun Watson now all of a sudden, because I'm like, well, we're learning about this other kid, Tua, who doesn't have this court baggage and all that, who is starting to really look like he was as advertised. And here's some interesting stats about the kid, because, it's funny. They talk about Mac Jones, and when they talk about Mac Jones because they want to hype Mac Jones because he's on the Patriots, because he's a little tall or whatever it is, they keep saying Mac Jones is efficient. Mac Jones is playing within himself. Mac Jones is doing what he's supposed to do. Blah, blah, blah. and they're anointing him as like the second coming of some great quarterback. But then Tua, who does all the same things, plays within himself, makes accurate decisions, doesn't go outside the bounds, does what he's supposed to do. Also, he has like a negative connotation. It's not really fair. And I think because he struggled early, and look, durability with Tua, that's still a concern I have. He can play elite, but if he only plays 8 games a year, 9 games a year elite, it's not good enough. If he's hurt 4 or 5 games a year, it's not going to be good enough. The durability is still a concern, but let's face it. When he's in the game, he's playing elite. Now, contrary to perception, let's look at some of Tua's statistics here and his rankings. So he is second in the NFL. Second in the NFL in completion percentage. He's 70.9 completion percentage. And a couple of these games, he was over 80%. Yeah, and people say, oh, he only throws short passes. I don't care what he throws. He's got a high completion percentage. And this is the other thing. Well, I'll get to it in a minute. I'll get to the analysis about the last game, specific plays. But he's second in the league in that. He's 15th in passer rating at 96.1, just ahead of Patrick Mahomes this year, by the way. 15th. Remember, I said if he's a top 10 quarterback, you got to roll with him. Top 15, maybe not. He's 15th right now in passer rating overall. Let's see where that goes by the end of the year. And again, with my whole thing of being objective, I'm not just going to flip the switch and just say, oh, I don't care about durability anymore. He's a star. He's a superstar. Let's see where the season ends. But right now, he's looking good. All right. He is 7th in percentage of third down throws that become first down. 7th in the league. So the percentage of third down throws that become first downs, one of the most important statistics in football. If you're a football fan and you watch teams try to put drives together, one of the most important things that they can do, we know it, is on third down, convert to a first down so that the drive doesn't stall. He is 7th in the league in percentage of third down throws that become first downs. That is huge. I don't care how far you're throwing it down the field. I don't care about any of that. If you can convert third downs, and he's 7th in the league at doing so, that's top 10, you can convert third downs consistently, then you are going to put drives together, and you are going to get touchdowns, and you are going to win games. He's 11th in first downs per pass attempt. That's pretty damn good. 4th in first quarter completion percentage. Second in fourth quarter completion percentage. Fourth quarter where you win games. First quarter where you set the tone. He's that high up. Second. He's second in completion percentage inside the opponent's 20-yard line. Red zone. Second in completion percentage in the red zone. Second in completion percentage in the red zone. Second, he's 4th in second half passer rating, and he's 6th in fourth quarter passer rating. 6th in fourth quarter passer rating. And I'm pretty sure, I don't have it in front of me, I'm pretty sure I read a statistic somewhere else where it said that his yards per attempt was not as low as everybody makes you think it is. His yards per attempt are right in the middle of the league or something, maybe even the upper 15. Now, that's all great, right? And sometimes people say, well, quarterback ratings, statistics, you could take a number out of it, and if he doesn't pass the eye test, then who cares, right? Well, did you watch that Giants game? One of the things I noticed about that Giants game was Tua's amazing confidence and accuracy on certain throws that maybe the stat sheet doesn't show, but the eye test sure as hell shows. I'm specifically talking about that touchdown, the second touchdown to Ford. Did you see the attention to detail and the mechanics? One of the knocks on Tua for a long time was, he stares down his receivers. He just goes to the first read, or he just goes right to the dump off or whatever. Did you see him? The fake handoff he did, and then he just stood there like he was walking off just for a split second. It just throws the defense for a split second. I remember, NFL, everybody's so fast, everybody's so quick. Split-second windows are all you have to work with. So a split-second fake and walking off and just freezing him for a split second, that's huge. And then did you see as he's running out, he's peeling out, he's rolling out, Ford is sprinting towards the corner of the end zone, the front corner of the end zone. There's defenders there waiting to see what he's doing. They're pursuing Ford. Did you see Tua's face in slow-mo especially? His head briefly looks to the middle, and it freezes the defenders. It freezes the defenders just a little bit, just a split second enough. And he knew what he was doing because you could see where his head went. It's there, and then all of a sudden he turns his head and just slings it to Ford. Perfect pass. Ford's feet inbounds. Touchdown. Pretty much starts to seal the game for the Dolphins. That was a brilliant red zone play where the design was good, but it came down to him faking out defenders with his eyes, being very, very accurate, and attention to detail. That is what he was advertised as being able to do, and he did it. How about at the end of the game, one of the most beautiful passes I thought I have seen? Mike Gesicki, we need a first down to seal the game. We're driving. Mike Gesicki comes across the middle. Tua places the ball right in his breadbasket. If you watch football long enough and you pay attention to accuracy and you could see, I think Tua only had one ball that was bad. It was above Gesicki's head earlier in the game. But you watch football and you're looking for things like the eye test. Look at that play. Tua floats that ball perfectly over two defenders' hands, and it hits Gesicki right where he was going to be, right in his arms, to the point even Gesicki caught it and kind of fell off because it was so perfect. How about the missed touchdown to Gesicki? The one that he didn't catch earlier in the game. Go back and watch the replay of that. Because there's a defender in front of him, and then the Gesicki's falling back like this, and where does the ball go? I want you to watch that in slow-mo if you haven't already. Watch that play in slow motion. What do you see? The ball, in a perfect spiral, goes through Gesicki's hands like this, and literally hits Gesicki between the eyes where the face mask and helmet are. Boom, right? Literally hits him right there. It hits him in the helmet and bounces off. Between his eyes. Could you throw any better of a pass into the back corner of the end zone than right in the guy's eyes? Gesicki just missed it. Went through his hands. There was a defender in his face, so I understand why. And, sometimes you're like, oh, he threw it by the defender. But watch it in replay. There was a defender there, but it didn't matter. Tua threw it right between Gesicki's eyes. If Tua continues to play with that level of accuracy, and we start designing really innovative routes and RPO schemes, and we continue to build around him. I mean, look, now Parker's back this week, and what happens? Now there's more options. Now you got Waddle in the middle of the field. You got Waddle doing what Waddle does, but you also got Parker. Those two beautiful back shoulder type throws, or Parker makes those catches. I mean, now you got weapons. And it's not just weapons in general. It's not just, RPO guys from Alabama. No, it's a multitude and variety of weapons that do different things. I think the vision with a guy like Tua is, if you give him a lot of weapons and you design an offense that plays to his strengths, or even just an offense in general that has a lot going on, that you can attack people from several different angles in several different ways, if he can be a surgeon like he looked like in the last game, and he can do that consistently, and he can stay healthy, there's really no limit to what your offense can do, because if you install the right system, he's the guy behind the wheel. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine who is a coach at a prominent D1 college. He's not a head coach, but he's an assistant coach at a prominent D1 college that we've all heard of. And the way he described it was, you could have a great engine, beautiful wheels, pretty exterior, comfortable seats, great steering, great transmission, but the guy behind the wheel makes it all go. The guy behind the wheel operates. And if you look at a quarterback that way, you can have an ultra-athletic quarterback. Nothing wrong with that, too. They win Super Bowls, man. Who makes plays on his own. You can't undersell that. But if you have a quarterback who's not just a good driver, you're talking about a good driver, you're talking about, a Joe Flacco when they won. You're talking about Trent Dilfer. You're talking about guys who can operate it without making mistakes, and the defense and the supporting cast is so darn good. Maybe even a Ryan Tannehill, where just stay in your lane, don't get in an accident, change the oil, and you can get there. But then there's guys who are beyond just being an okay driver when they have great defenses or whatever. Then you got the Joe Montanas of the world. You got the Drew Breeses of the world. You got the guys who are not just regular drivers that are able to navigate the car. You got guys who are race car drivers who can navigate in tight spaces along the racetrack and who can add to the construction of the vehicle with their own elite driving skills, and they can get more out of that car than other guys ever could. If Tua can continue to develop the way he is and continue to rank where he does, especially in terms of efficiency, accuracy, and he's already now, knock on wood, he's going to have more mistakes, but he eliminated the bonehead throw every game that he had. In the last 2 games, he didn't have that. And he can stay healthy, which is the biggest question. You got to get this guy an elite line. No more nonsense. You got to go out and sign guys that are proven starters in this league with the line. If you can get him those things and continue to surround him with talent on offense and continue to have a defense that you do, we may well have our quarterback. Now, I don't know for sure. Let's see how the rest of the year plays out. I say that now because I'm not saying that's what he is. I'm just saying he's shown me, and I'm going to evolve. He didn't show it earlier in the year to me. He wasn't playing great even when he was playing. He was hurt. He was injured. He was not durable. Now, the last few games, he's shown it to me. But it's not a done deal. It's not a settled thing yet. Let's see what Tua does the remainder of the season and then assess the whole thing at the end of the year. Let's see if he stays healthy. Let's see if he keeps putting up these numbers. Let's see if they get even better. Gets even better as the season goes on. Let's see. But if he does get better and he continues to, we might have the quarterback that we thought we would. And as a Dolphins fan, that would be great. But it was fun. I don't know if anybody else shares this. Like earlier in the year or last year, you kind of get worried when, okay, the offense goes out. We're not going to do anything. I've been excited the last couple weeks for when the offense and Tua comes out. I'm like, what's Tua going to do? Tua's going to respond. It reminds me a little bit of that Arizona game last year where Tua looked like he was really showing flashes. And by the way, a guy that he seems to be kind of tit for tat with on stats these days and rankings is Kyler Murray. And he went back and forth with Kyler Murray, and they were saying this is a preview of maybe 2 future elite quarterbacks in this league for years to come. I sense some of that, like determination, drives, kill instinct to put teams away, and it's beautiful to see. Now, these teams haven't been the best teams, okay? Carolina had a good pass defense. The Giants are not a very good team. So, again, this is another thing we want to watch as the season kind of winds down, the last couple games. Whether it means making the playoffs this year or whether it means momentum for next year or what we're looking at, I want to see if he can continue that level of play against better competition, against teams who are playing for something, against teams that are well coached, against teams that are going to adjust to his successes over the last few weeks, because that always happens. You have success in this league, and a team is going to research why you had success, and they are going to try to find ways to beat you. And I apologize. I always got these sirens in the background, and I get that they need them, but sometimes they're turning them on, they're turning them off. It gets on my nerves when I'm trying to broadcast here, but whatever. I hope it goes away in a second. I apologize for it. It's a real pain. But teams are going to adjust to Tua. So we got to see how Tua's going to do against the teams as they adjust to him. We got to see it. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, with respect to building a team around him, think about Chris Grier. There was so much negativity about Grier earlier in the year, and it was well-deserved, right? The guys that he had picked, especially on the offensive line, and some of the other guys that were promised to be very good, Noah Igbenogany is one of them, who we really still don't know what he is. We don't know if he's ever going to be good. He got a lot of flack, Chris Grier, for not picking great players and for maybe being one of the problems that this team has had to deal with over this last several decades. But one thing I noticed a while ago, even under previous staffs, was that our drafting wasn't the worst ever, and Chris Grier was a part of it. Jarvis Landry, other players that we picked up, Odrick, even these like role player guys who we forget about. The signing of Cameron Wake. I mean, There's guys that came through our system and were good players for us that I always thought were good. It's just that we never really knew how to use them. And then we shipped them away. Wes Welker, we shipped them away. And then they became good or they became solid role players elsewhere. And so when they hired Grier at first, I was like, he didn't clean out the whole thing. Ross is a jerk, all this. But at the same time, I was like, okay, but our drafting hasn't been horrible. So let's give him a chance. Well, now we're seeing halfway through the season that a lot of his draft picks, Jalen Phillips, Waddle, never mind Holland, Jones. I mean, these guys are playing good. These are good, maybe star players. It just took a little while to develop them, and the coaching staff had to adjust and get their shit straight. Excuse my language. And the coaching staff had to get their stuff straight and know how to use them properly. But all of a sudden, Grier's looking like, yeah, he can still draft pretty decently. Even Eichenberg, I mean, he's not playing terrible. Maybe Grier's doesn't have a strength with drafting the O-line. I think we know that. Go out and get O-line from the free agency then. Go out and get O-line. Change your philosophy, something. Get better O-linemen. But it's looking like all of a sudden Grier's draft isn't that bad. It's just that, Flores and Grier decided they wanted to build an entire team with young guys. They let people like Gottschall, they let people like Kyle Van Noy leave, thinking, the young guys will step up. And it took them a while to be able to step up, but now they've hit their stride. But what I'll say is don't get rid of all your good players now going into next year. You can't keep doing that. So a guy like Mike Gesicki, you drafted him. The guy's a playmaker. The guy's a difference maker. You drafted him. He's a Dolphin. He's been a Dolphin. He cares about the Dolphins. He's a Miami guy now. He likes it there. He's a Jersey guy who went to Miami. He's a lot like me. I like the guy. Keep him. Pay him. Don't let your best vets that you went out and got, and you were right about them being good, don't let your best young guys that you were right about drafting, don't let them walk. But my point in saying all this is, if Tua does turn out to be what we think he can be, his potential can be, and Grier and his staff continue to draft guys like Phillips and Holland and these other guys and Waddle who make differences, even if you don't think that Gaskin is like the main back or whatever, if you think they got to go out and get a different bruising back, which I think they do, you still got to admit he's a good little piece to a team. He's a nice piece. They've drafted some good guys. They've signed some good guys as undrafted free agents, et cetera, et cetera. They just got to keep it together. Find your core and stick to your core. Stop trying to change it every year and get too cute. Don't ship off your best players. Don't let your best players walk. Draft guys, groom them, and keep them. Let's go. We got a core here. I think you've seen over the last several weeks, no matter how this season turns out, no matter which direction this season goes, I think we've now gotten to a place where we know this core can win in this league, can be good, has a lot of potential. Keep this core together. We have tons of salary cap space. We can keep our own guys signed first and then go out and plug the holes and then go out and have another successful draft. But it's nice to see that maybe Grier is onto something. And if Flores could get out of his own way and hire a staff that's maybe a little better at hitting the ground running next year and cannot ship off players all the time that are vets or whatever and can learn to work with them and can keep the momentum from one season to the next a little bit and continue to build on the progress he's made, and Flores can keep learning. With Grier drafting guys like the guys in this class this year, we have a chance to finally be what we want to be, which is contenders for the first time in 2+ decades as long-suffering Miami Dolphins fans. And I'll still keep the title Phin-Addict Fury, but maybe I'm not going to be so furious all the time. I'm not furious now. I'm enjoying the holiday season. I'm enjoying the weekend. And I like it that way. I like it that way. I hope it continues to be that way. I really, truly do. But anyway, that's kind of my bye-week synopsis. Let's see what we do the last 4 games of the season. Let's hope we, by some Miami miracle, make the playoffs. And let's enjoy the ride. Let's most of all hope that we continue to see Tua play at an elite level and we continue to see Tua get even better. And let's continue to see these draft picks develop. And let's hope that in the offseason we continue that momentum. But we're going to talk again many times before the offseason. So we got plenty more to talk about. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Fin fans, watch all the games, enjoy it. We're not playing, there's no pressure on us. Just enjoy your Sunday, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Remember, please hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Get as many people to subscribe as you can. Share the video, share the content with other people, other Dolphins fans that you know. Go ahead and spread the word. Phin-Addict Fury is on the rise. Your host, Larry K, is constantly coming at you with content and good conversation, and I'm happy to be with you. I'll talk to all of you very soon regardless. Enjoy the rest of your week. Fins up.
I know you heard me on the radio flexing. She loved the sound